so hot I'm about to melt into a puddle. I think it might be the kind of kundalini energy burning some sort of hole here in my heart. Hi. How are you? Long time no see. I see you're getting younger. I see you're becoming more vibrant, more vital, more electrifying, more of everything wonderful. I see that all those things you dreamed of came to be just exactly the way you thought they would. Every one of them. All those dreams, you know, I'm sure that it's true for you. It isn't necessarily true for me, but that for each of you, everything you ever thought would turn out a particular way did. Right? No. When were we taught that it would be an interesting question. Because we were metaphysical students, because we set foot on the spiritual path, because we're good people, because we have kind hearts, because we're loving in nature, because we tried to do things right, that everything would just line up, all those ducks in a row, swimming in perfect order. And I know that's happened for you, of course. Once. Twice. Your dream that your body would never have pain, that you would always be young and beautiful and indomitable, and all those things that we set out before us. The relationship would be perfect, and of course it is, but that job was going to be the one you'd waited for all your life. Joy would be present there, and lots of money and personal satisfaction. Nobody mentioned your coworkers. Nobody mentioned the obstacles along the way. But we're children of God, and as children of God, everything goes the way we say it will. I'm waiting. Because we said it, because we created it, because we're dedicated to it, it'll turn out that way. Because that's what we think will be the right order for our lives. That when I've set my heart towards something, or my mind, or given my life towards something, children come to mind, that everything will be just exactly the way we prayed, the way we pleaded for, the way we wanted for them, for ourselves. We step into the world and we say, oh, look at this world. But, you know, if I'm going to make more goal lists. And I'm going to treasure map more, and I'm going to do a few more affirmations, and that'll take care of it. And in the face of all of that, we experience things like this week, where some people are like, hallelujah, and some people are in hell. Because even when we think we know where we're going, we really don't. And our hallelujahs turn into our hells very quickly. And our hells turn into our hallelujahs equally quickly. We're not on this course to be able to, with the control factors of our mind, determine the way divine order moves. We talk about the one presence and one power being everywhere and everything and in and through everything, and then we tell it what to be. Be this. No, be that. No, I want this. We don't trust that somehow in the midst of this infinite expression of the presence, what we call the presence, which is a confinement in and of itself. We don't really understand that when you invoke the awareness of the presence and when you set foot on the spiritual path, what you're going to discover is the very thing that wakes you up are frequently those things that didn't go the way you wanted them to at all. The things you didn't have on your list, the things you didn't want to transpire, the way things should have looked and didn't. It wasn't on my list, we say. That's not what I had in my heart. Emily Cady says, desire is God knocking at the door of your heart. We translated that to mean when I have a desire, God wants me to have that thing, and I'll tell you exactly what it should look like, and I'll tell you how big it should be, and I'll tell you how it should work. Because if God is knocking at the door of my heart in my heart's desires, then isn't it supposed to look exactly like that? But the thing she didn't say, and I don't know whether she was just pacifying us in that moment or wanting us to step on the path before we realized that it was going to be quite a journey and quite a ride. She didn't say, it's God knocking at the door of your heart to bring forth the growth that's inherent in that, to bring forth the energy of transformation that's moving in and through that, to push you through knotholes and pull you through tight places, that you might expand and increase your awareness of what is fundamental, of that which is unchanging but ever in expression. She didn't say having a desire means you opened your heart so that the very impetus for growth could enter in and literally bring you into places you never thought you'd end up, and into things you never really wanted, and things that aren't the way you said they should be. So should we not have desires? Or should we understand that the deepest place in us where our hearts open and feel that creative tension toward movement and growth is the holiest of places, not the outcome as it should be, but the very process itself of this expansion of our capacity to live these ideas, to live in the truth, to live in spiritual expansion, to live in that love, in that greater love that says, in the midst of all things, in the midst of all things, I stand on the firm foundation of that which will not change because it can't. What doesn't change is fundamental and essential, and it cannot change because it is eternal and limitless and infinite in its own nature. And that's my nature. And I am infinite and eternal and limitless within that. And I have the power to entertain that more and more and more and more and more as I meet things and wake up and meet things and wake up and meet things and come into deeper awareness in the experience of my living. I'm not meant to stay the same in my safety zone. I am meant to be a part of an expression of this infinite oneness that is the very fiber and foundation of my being. And so in difficult times, what I understand is I'm growing, and I hate it. I just thought I'd throw that in. Wisdom tells me that the more I want things to be a particular way, the more the more I want things to be a particular way, the more elusive they are. It's when I am able to remember that which I am and that which is the truth of my being in life is solid and unchanging. These things come and go. I call them energy fluctuations. They're fluctuations in the energy field. And we like them and we don't like them, and they please us and they don't please us. And we rise with them and we fall, and we trip and then we get up and we go on. And these energy fluctuations in your own life, you've met countless energetic experiences that you would never have dreamt you could even walk through, let alone grow through, to come to a new place, a new way of being. And this is such a time, and we're ready. Because we are. And it's not about who's out there. It's about who's in here. And who we choose to be in the face of this moment in time in our lives. Steve Taylor wrote a book called The Calm Center, and this piece is called The Challenge. How will you know how strong you are unless your strength is tested? How will you know how deep you are unless turmoil breaks your surface and forces you to dive? It's a very powerful statement. How will you know how deep you are unless turmoil breaks your surface and forces you to dive? How will you know what sleeps inside until the whole of you is challenged to wake up? How will you know what sleeps inside until the whole of you is challenged to wake up? Then you'll turn inside to gather your resources, your untapped reserves of strength and skill. Then rise like the sun. Your untapped reserves of strength and skill, then rise like a sun, amazed by your own brightness, stronger than you ever suspected, and deeper than you ever dreamed. If it never cracks this surface, then what prompts us into our spiritual maturity? Did we come on this journey just to get comfortable and get our as I say so frequently, get our ducks in a basket and, kind of get life the way we want it? Is that what we thought our spiritual journey would be? I don't want to leave you with bad news today. That's exactly what our spiritual journey has been. A place of comfort, a place of security, something where someone will tell you that in the face of all opposition, you're fine. A place where people will come together to say to one another, I see you and I love you. But when the world starts to come in and when we begin to rise into these higher states of awareness, we discover that pacification, that warm kind of comforty, I just love you. I just love this spiritual stuff. I've read every book. I just love these ideas. Aren't they great, McKenna? Don't you love these ideas? Is it great? Are we great? We're just great. We're unity people. Are we great? And then we took one step too many into the awareness of what we were dealing with and what this power is that we're playing with and living in and spending our lives trying to to um, absorb consciously. And at that moment, the journey shifted for us, and all of that kind of warm, fuzzy stuff suddenly became growing edges and things that we really had to rise to. And the journey took a turn, and we said, no, I'll find another teacher. I'll find another church. I'll find another place to go. I'll find somebody else who has the answer. I'll find somebody else who can make this work for me. But in fact, it's our time to make it work now. It's our time. We have taken that one step too far. We have gone across the edge between being satisfied with simply being pacified and playing with our spiritual toys into a place where we're being held accountable to be the very thing we talk about and to bring into the world the very things that are essential for our time in our place in our growing expansive consciousness. And we're going to do it in the face of all kinds of things that would stop us or tell us no, whether it's fear, whether it's the world, whether it's relationship, whether it's our job, whether it's the economy, whether it's all the things we say, trouble the waters of our soul and the peace of our minds. And find ourselves in the position where we must make it essential to begin to live as though it's true. And stop denying what's real. It's our time. If we do not live this, after all these years you have spent with your butts in those seats, and your consciousness striving for something more, if it's not time to put that into action, then really, for what? For what have we been growing? For what have we been softening? For what have we been opening? For what have we been living? For what have we been seeking? But the very opportunity to make real the teachings that are transforming our lives and will be the power that begins to make the difference in each of us, that we might sustain rocky roads and turbulent times and challenging situations. It's not the person next to you. It's you. And it's me. And if I can't practice these things based on compassion and kindness and love, and the belief that there is a foundation of being that is the reality not just of me, because I'm special, but of us all, and I mean all of us. There's a reality of being that's the truth of unity consciousness. There's a reality of being that is present in and through every turmoil. And out of that comes creative energy, and that energy sparks in us. And as it sparks in us, we become a fire, and the fire becomes a transformational process that meets our lives, and we discover we're durable. And more than durable, we're powerful, and more than powerful, we realize and recognize that if we don't have our center, we don't have anything. If we don't have our inroad into the center, we have nothing. If we haven't established this connection with that which lives us and lives in us and lives through us and is present with us constantly and continuously in every breath we take, if we're not centering into that, then in times like these we spin out and there is no ground. But I trust you to hold ground. I haven't met some of you, I don't know you really, but I can assume that I can trust you to hold ground for me. That I can trust you to hold consciousness for me. That I can trust you to be that something that rises above this inclination to divide and separate. I trust you to be the ones who can hold it together. at the center. Your center. Not because I say so, not because Paul says so, but because this is our great work and our great purpose. I have a little bit of wisdom, not much. Depends on what day it is. I don't know how things will work out there. I don't know how things will line up out there. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know what's yet to come. Everything I think about it, I'm making up in my mind. Everything I believe to be true about it is either what somebody else told me or what my own deepest fears are. About change, about instability, about life out of control, about terrible, fearful things. But I don't want to be a terrible, fearful person. I don't. I don't want to stay locked in the idea that life isn't smarter than we are about what's coming forth in this time. But I know if we do our work and remain present to the world, what is, and take our attention off of what isn't, and by what is, I mean the holiness and grace that's present in every moment, in and through all of this. I may grieve, I may weep, I may wail, I may rage. But those are passing things. What remains with me that makes sense of it all is what happens here, in this heart, in this mind, in this living. I thought a lot about it this week, and I thought, it probably sounds naive to say that life is smarter than we are, that the divine is smarter than we are, that the whole is greater than our energetic fluctuation of the moment. But whatever happens, if we can't recognize that we are the ones who are called to hold center, to be centered in the one, then who will do that for us? I remember I was called to Viktor Frankl's work about the Holocaust. He said, "We who lived in the concentration camps can remember the men who walked through the huts comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. They may have been few in number, but they offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken from someone but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." Man is not fully conditioned and determined, but rather determines himself, whether he gives in to conditions or stands up to them. In other words, we are ultimately self-determining. We do not simply exist, but always decide what our existence will be, what we will become in the next moment. We do not simply exist, but always decide what our existence will be and what we will become in the next moment. By the same token, every human being has the freedom to change at any instant. I can change my mind at any instant. Years ago, I was at a teaching with the Dalai Lama in Palo Alto. And they were doing a question time. You know, there are like 3,000 people in those teachings. And it was a question time, and someone gave him the question, how do you deal with, or how do you bear the experience of the Tibetan people who are suffering as a result of the infiltration of the Chinese takeover? The question was more skillful than that. And he sat, he heard the question very clearly, and he sat just for an instant, and then he put his head in his lap, and he wept. The room, imagine 3,000 plus people did not breathe. The Dalai Lama with his head in his lap, weeping, shoulders shaking. And then he sat up and he pulled his handkerchief out of his robe, and he wiped his eyes. Scared you, didn't I? See how we are right now? If I can just stop right there. I just want you to notice what happened in your body. What happened? That's how the energy is right now. That my touching the microphone in a loud way would levitate you out of your seat. I'm so sorry. Not that I touched the microphone, but that so much anxiety is present for us all. I'm so sorry that the equilibrium that you thought you had, or the safety you had, or security you felt you had, has been so disrupted. I'm sorry your dreams didn't come true. For those of you who are singing a hallelujah song, God bless you. God bless you. So he sat up, and he took his handkerchief out of his robe, and he wiped his eyes, and he wiped his glasses, and he put them back on in that amazing Dalai Lama way. And he said, and then you go on. You meet the moment as it is and as it arises. And you know that that's how that feels. And then you wipe your eyes. And you remember who you are. And you remember who God is in the midst of you. And then you go on. And he demonstrated for this room full of people that even in the worst of times, there's something there if you're willing to let it be present in you, through you, as you, for you, that makes the way. It makes the way. It doesn't just open the way. It makes the way every step you take. It's making the way through your steps. It's making the way through your heartbeat. It's making the way through your expressions of love. It's making the way through your tears. It's making the way to something we can't dream of, don't understand, is a total mystery. But it's the life we've been given. It's the life we're living. It is what is, and what matters is the way we live it and who we will be with one another in the process of it. We can be kind. my dear friend Anne Hillman said, life offers beauty and joy and opportunities. It also offers cranky children, clothes dryers that break down, and difficult moments in relationship. Harder to accept are the violence, cruelties, and the abuse of power rampant in the world around us. At such times, we learn to drop in. Drop in. Step back. Drop in. Become someone who manages the quality of your attention. Bring it into your heart. Rather than judge it, we turn the other cheek and we stay. We become acutely aware of the intangible moment at hand and then give it the most refined quality of our attention. We soften our breath, become open, alert, and relaxed. We don't try to make an object of a moment by thinking about it. We're just present to it. We are it. It is our beginning. It is our now. I can take a breath. I can remember that love is the most important thing. I can remember that I am supported. I can remember that I have a heart as great as the world and more. I can remember that the force and power that moves through me moves mountains. I don't know which ones and I don't know what day. But Jesus said, if you can invest just a little bit of your faith and your attention in the power of the one who is living and moving and working through you now, you will become that which the world most needs in this very moment in time. We say in our hearts, hatred, it's my growing edge. Judgment, it's like giving birth. It's my growing edge. Giving birth? Oh my God, what to? I don't know. Keep breathing, keep breathing. It'll come out pretty soon. Prejudice, division, upset, all the things that come. We say, I'm giving birth. This is my beginning. This is my time. I'm called to this time. I can love, I can care. And I can meet those things in me and love those as well. And remember that the one who goes before me and the one who is within me and the one who's all around me is way smarter than I am. Let this be a time when we trust a little more. Dive a little deeper and remember what matters. I'm going to say to Paul when I talk to him that having chosen that I would be here on this Sunday just because it was his birthday and the Sunday after the election was way smart on his part or not. I just want you to know that I care enough about you to tell you I know who you are. And I believe in you, and I believe in the power that works through you. And I believe that wherever you find yourself, there is a sufficiency of everything you need. Not just to meet the moment, but to move through it, to part seas in your own life, to raise possibilities from ashes, and to always be that which you are called to be. Love. What else is there? Thank you all.